But I want to give Mariano a chance to turn it around, because I think the idea behind our new office hours format, Jason, is to let them grill you.
Yes.
So I want to spin these tables.
Yes.
And Mariano, please talk to us.
Yeah, Jason, I have a great question for you.
Okay.
And right now we've seen a lot of success in getting into infrastructure and construction accounts, but we're starting to see a pull towards aerospace, which is slightly different. But what the similarity that we've seen among those two markets is they all go to bid for every single project that they do. For aerospace, they're required by the government, much like construction, for every single product that they build. And really want to understand what you think about moving into a new industry and understanding if we should focus on both or should we try to choose one, and hear your thoughts around that.
Okay, so that's a great question. A lot of times you define an ideal customer profile and another customer shows up and they want to use the product. And now maybe they have slightly different needs set. So there's going to be a cost to going after that, right? If it was no cost and they're just buying the same product, if it's Slack and, company A and company B both use Slack the same way, great. But if company B is a finance company and they need to have ticker symbols and Bloomberg integration and this integration, all of a sudden it's like, oh God, to sell into that group, we've got to get our SOC 2 set up. We got a shout out to Fanta. We got to do all this heavy lifting. And so there's some friction to going after this second category. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the question is, how much friction? Is it like, a couple of dozen hours of developer hours, or is it like we have to redo the entire code base? We have to, so let me just ask that question real briefly. Is this a heavy lift to work with this new vertical, or is it a medium lift or a light lift?
Yeah, so it's definitely not starting from zero. Okay. It's actually a pretty light lift because the way that you use the platform is pretty much the same. But you're right. Some of the challenges will be the compliance, right? CMMC is a $200,000 compliance issue that we have to go through the audit. And that's a little bit more challenging over a year for a young startup. So that'll probably be the biggest barrier to entry. However, there's no software companies that have CMMC compliance at the current moment, so it becomes a moat potentially.
Got it. Okay, so I nailed it on that one. There's going to be some compliance lifting, some work, some expense. If you have 10 more customers in the existing vertical and, they're ready to go, you said you had 38. If you think you can close 20% of those, 7 or 8 of them, and those are going to come in one every 2 weeks, you might want to get that done first because that's going to cover some percentage of your burn and show growth so that when you go raise a round, and I think you're considering raising. So if you're going to go raise, that's going to look better to that group. And you can say, and as part of this $1 million raise, 300,000 of it is going to be to set up and stand up this second vertical. Great. And the question is, how different is the vertical and how much lift is it? This one seems like medium lift, I would say. Low hundreds of thousands of dollars to put it online. But the bigger problem here, Alex, is it takes you away from that first group,
yes,
which are layups. So if you have the open shot, you take the open shot, like in basketball. If you have the layup, you got to take that layup and just get those points on the board early in the game. You may not want to be throwing Hail Mary passes or whatever. So yeah, this is like one of those tough questions. I'm a fan of like taking the easy money and showing growth for the next 10 weeks, getting to some critical mass in that first customer base before you take on a second.